Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for listening into this recording. The purpose of this recording or this get together is just a question and answer. If there are any questions that you are stuck with or that you have questions on the theory that you don't understand, then now's your time to ask. If you don't have any questions, don't stress. You will maybe think of some and then you're welcome to email me through those questions on the content. So what I thought we would do this evening is just look at the first 4 learning units. So we're going to kind of divide these sessions up into 3 different groups. So the first one we're going to look at is learning unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. What I'm going to do then is I'm just going to give you a brief sort of overview of what is expected, and then we will be able to take it from there. So I see you don't have any questions at the moment. So I'm just going to run through the first learning unit 1, 2, 3, and 4, just give you an overview of what is expected, and then we will be able to take it from there. Okay. No problem. So learning unit 1 effectively, please guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Learning unit 1 is, they speak about the management environment. They speak about the definitions of the management and what are some of the decisions that these managers would need to make. They speak about the different process of management. So for those of you who have been, pardon me, those of you who have been through learning unit 1, you would have picked up that those are some of the common themes for that. Just excuse me for 1 second. I just want to go and get some water. Just wait 1 minute. Okay, there. Sorry, guys, that's better. So I hope that you can hear me well. Welcome to those who have just joined on. Like I mentioned earlier, that this is just a question and answer session. So if you've got any questions on the theory, then now's time to ask. If you're listening to the recording, then you can also engage with me via an email or something that would be. So learning unit 1, the most important things that you're going to learn from learning unit 1 is the definition of what is management and what is the process of management. So you'll see in learning unit 1, they identify the 6 key steps of the management process, where they speak about how we're going to work with people, through people. We're going to try and achieve organizational goals, and we're going to try and balance being effective and efficient, and we're going to make the most of our limited resources, and we're going to try and cope in an ever-changing environment. So that's the process of management that we would have. And then underneath that, you'll see as a very big part, which you also dealt with in your assignment, is obviously the different levels of management, the different areas of management, and some of the roles that managers will play in the organization. So we're going to look at how we're going to focus on, understanding the role and the skills that that a manager would need in this day and age. So that basically is learning unit 1. Like I say, the most important things to take from learning unit 1 would be those definitions and the process. So trying to explain the process, and then obviously understanding the roles and the levels and the areas of management for learning unit 1. Okay. If we move on to learning unit 2, just as an overview, here we speak about management in the modern society. So over here is where we are going to focus on. So we look at chapter 3 here, and we look at how a modern organization has changed. So in the past, organizations were sort of governed or ruled a little bit differently. They looked a little bit different. We had one person who was in charge of everything. They were very hierarchical, very much autocratic. So what I say goes. Not many of the employees in the olden days or in the past would have a say in how the organization is run and what is happening within the organization. Whereas today, in a contemporary management environment that we have, we see that it has now changed. Obviously, organizations has changed. Employees have been given a little bit more freedom. They have the ability to have a say in the organization. We call these organizations a little bit more flatter. In other words, there's maybe a few people who are in charge of different projects, not just one person who is autocratic and giving all the instructions. We find that the working world is a little bit more flexible. Our workforce is very diverse. In the past, we mainly had men that were working. Now we know, thank goodness, that there are women that are working as well. So again, some of the key changes that we find from the traditional organizations and moving on to these more contemporary or modern organizations. And with this change also comes a lot of challenges. So what are these challenges that organizations face in this new modern world that we find ourselves in? So what are some of the changes? What are some of the challenges that come along with those changes? Okay, with people expecting certain things, with the rapid increase of technology and trying to keep up to date with that technology, with the customer that all of a sudden now has got a lot of power, a lot of demands within the customer. So all of that would then be incorporated into Learning Unit 2 and sort of understanding and unpacking this modern organization in a little bit more detail. Any questions for Learning Unit 2? Please, guys, if you have any theoretical questions, please do ask. That is really the purpose of these sessions. So I'll put on Learning Unit 3 in the meantime, okay? So remember, we're going up to Learning Unit 4 tonight, and then we're going to move on according to the workplace. We'll do from 5 up until 10. So the next time we do a whole chunk from 5 until 10, and then the last 3 learning units we do later on as well. So Learning Unit 3 and Learning Unit 4 are our big learning units. Okay, so there's a lot of information that comes out of these 2 learning units, which we'll cover. The first one is chapter 19, which is leading. And then if we look at learning unit 4, chapter 20, which is motivation. Both part of these chapters have got a lot of theory. If you've gone through the work, you would have seen there's a lot of theory within these chapters, okay? So we're looking at leadership theories, and then we'll look at motivational theories. And it's very, very important that you understand the theories, okay? Remember, you did get asked a theory in your assignment, but it is most likely that you're going to, again, get a theory in your exam, okay? So remember, we look at leadership. So again, the first point of call for you is to have a definition of leadership. So what is your own definition of leadership? How would you define leadership as a management function? So why is being a good leader a good management function? And then that leads us on to, what is the difference between leadership and management? What is the difference between a leader and a manager? Is there any difference? What is the difference? What is a leadership key role versus a management's key role? Okay, and then from that definition, you can then unpack all the components of leadership. So then you can have a look at the components of leadership. What are some of the components of leadership? The ability to delegate, having responsibility, okay, being accountable. Those are all characteristics and components of leadership. And then we look at our theories. So then the rest of the chapter, we just unpack our theories from the early theories, which are obviously our trait theory, our behavioral theories, moving on to our contingency theories, which are theories that adapt to each and every situation. And then we have got all our new theories, which we refer to as our contemporary theories. And these are being a charismatic leader, being a transformational leader. So again, you'll remember that from your assignment, coming through in that assignment as well, and how to lead with emotional intelligence as well. Okay, and then how can you lead in this modern world? So as a contemporary leader, as a contemporary manager, what theories can you put into place in order for you to actually manage successfully? So I always tell the students at this point, it's you can't rule out any of the theories. So it's very, very important that you understand all the theories. We don't know which theory is going to come up in the exam. We know we've already had the expectancy theory. We've already had transformational leadership. So we know that those most likely will not get asked again. But go through all your theories. Make sure you've got a summary note somewhere saved on your computer that you can just copy and paste it over if you get it in the exam. So start making notes on these theories already, because it's almost likely that it will pop up in an exam question as well. Okay, and then just for the last chapter that we're going to work on today is obviously Learning Unit 4. So this is motivation. And again, ladies and gentlemen, and for those who are going to be listening to the session, it is a big chunk of work. So those of you who have studied Learning Unit 4 already, you would have noticed that there's a lot of work that comes into motivation. So first of all, we look at the definition of motivation. We look at the process and the nature of motivation. So why is motivation so important in the workplace? We look at the motivation process, the 5-step process of motivation, from having a need to behaving in a certain way to getting a reward and then responding to that reward, whether you have been motivated to achieve that or not. Okay, so very, very, very important part of that motivational process as well. And then we look at our big theories that we're going to look at. So we've got the content theories, the process theories, and then we've got the reinforcement theories. So in a nutshell, the easiest way to understand it is the content theories are why must we be motivated? So what is going to motivate the employee? So content, I always tell the students, is what? What is going to motivate your employees? And here we've got many different factors. We've got hygiene factors. We've got factors of personal growth within the employees. We've got things that they want to develop, they want to grow. What are the expectations? So what is motivating the employees? So we've got a lot of theories that can identify what motivates. So remember, this what is stemming from a need. Exactly. Now, good answer there as well. What is going to motivate us? Definitely remuneration. So salary, money, wages, recognition, getting that promotion, developing, growing yourself is going to be the what. So what is it that we need to put in place as employers to motivate our employees? So the first step for us to identify is obviously the needs. So remember, all motivation will stem from having a need for something. We have a need to earn a salary. We have a need to be recognized. We have a need to grow and to personally develop. So this comes from a need. So the manager's responsibility is to identify the need. And then they can put the theory in place which can help them get the need satisfied. And then we have Exactly. Then we have our process theories. Now, the process theory I always say is exactly how are we going to do this? So our process theories are going to tell us how. We've identified the needs, we've identified what needs to happen. Now we look at how. What steps can we put in place? What measurements can we put in place in order to achieve it? So how can we go about achieving this workforce that is motivated, that is driven to reach the organizational goals? So how can we put these processes in place in order for us to reach those organizational goals? So step one is obviously to ask, what is it? What do we need to achieve? What are we going to use to motivate the employees? And then step two, or the next section of our theories, is obviously the process theories, the way in which we can, how are we going to motivate them? So what are we going to use as remuneration, as reward? How are we going to recognize it? What measurements are we going to put in place in order to make sure everyone is equally treated and expects certain rewards and goals that they can use? So how can we positively reinforce the theory and the motivation and the movement to go forward for that as well. And then obviously, guys, we're going to look at money as a motivator. So this in the past has always been quite a big assignment essay question. It hasn't popped up this year in the assignment. So just make sure you have an answer for it. Remember here, there's really no right or wrong answer. So you just need to make sure that you can justify it. So my advice to you all for this question would be to ask yourself, is money a motivator? Is it a true motivator? So is it healthy? Is it natural for people to go to work just for money? We know that they expect to be paid, okay? But is money the only thing that is going to motivate someone, to make them really get out of bed and go to work in the morning because they know they're getting paid? Surely there must be so much more to life than that. And that's what this question is asking you. How can you use money to motivate, but what should you also be balancing it with, okay? Or are you purely just going to motivate your employees with the remuneration, with the wage or the salary? So how else, if it's not only money, how else can employees or managers motivate the employees? If they are not solely being motivated by a financial reimbursement, what else can a manager do in order to motivate the employees and get the employees to work a bit harder, a bit faster, a bit more effectively or efficiently in order to achieve those organizational goals? Okay, ladies and gents, I think we're going to leave it there at Learning Unit 4. Like I said, we're going to go do 5 up until 10 in the next theoretical block or the next section. But I just wanted to give you an overview of what is expected for the first few learning units. Please, guys, if you've got questions, please ask. Now is the time to ask. Remember, our next session is an assignment session. So our next session, we're going to be looking at assignment 2. So far, so good with assignment 1s. I have almost finished marking them, so I've got a few more still to do, but so far I was very impressed with the results and all that. So well done, guys. And yeah, keep working hard. I'm going to stay online. If there's any questions, guys, you're welcome to ask. If not, you're welcome to log off. I know some students do have a session again at past, so they did say that done. So dear Vault, that's also a very good question, and you'll see we've got quite a few sessions coming up or towards the end, which just prepare us for a take-home exam. A take-home exam, it's the best way to prepare. I always tell the students is take these learning outcomes, literally like I've just done here, and type up a sort of an answer or something for each one so that you have it there on your desktop as well. The thing that catches most students is that it's a lot of typing. So it's kind of like doing an assignment, but only in a short space of time. So you only have, it sounds like a lot, but you only have those 21 hours to complete a lot of writing, a lot of typing. So I always tell the students, we don't know what's going to be in the exam, but try and prepare some questions or some definitions already and have them stored somewhere on your computer that you can just copy and paste those definitions. Obviously, you would have rewritten those assignments, but you can just, yes, it's open book. You're allowed to use any resource that you need to use. You can consult your book. You can start it and leave it at any time. So you can download the paper, do question 1, have a break, do question 2. As long as the exam is submitted by 9 o'clock, so by 9 p.m. that evening, then it is fine. So you can download it at midnight, and you've got until 9 o'clock that evening to submit the exam. I always say the best way to prepare is to highlight in your book, make notes in your book, and have a good understanding of what is in your book. So if you know there's a question on motivation, you know immediately it's Learning Unit 4, Chapter 20. I know exactly where to go because I've had a little sticky note which indicates where it is in my book. So that type of thing, which was going to make you efficient in order to type faster so that you can submit on time. So I hope that makes sense. But again, guys, we're going to prepare a lot for the take-home exam. You'll see this particular slide that I've actually got here has got 17 slides, and all of them prepared for the take-home exam. So this is my preparation for the take-home exam. We're obviously just dividing it up because I don't want to bombard you in November with all the information. So that's why we're just doing it bit by bit and chunk by chunk. Yes, definitely. Dear Volt, you will definitely need to take the time difference into account. So I know that there is quite a big, I don't know what it is off by heart, but I know there is quite a big gap in Canada. So you're just going to have to work it out and make sure, because our time zone won't adjust for you. Yeah. So you're just going to have to make sure that you are either awake or asleep. You know, you're going to have to adjust it in order to get that exam. But yes, it's released at midnight. So it's released at midnight on the date, and then you've got the next day until 9 o'clock. So you've got 21 hours to submit the exam. Indeed. But I